well. But this opened up a massive fight in MAGA world, essentially. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump are on the same side of it now. So, Crystal, this is a big chunk that's been happening. Again, this predates Christmas by a couple of days, but it is still raging. It seems like it's about to carry into the new year and into the new administration, which is now some serious baggage to deal with. Tell me, as somebody on the left who's watching this play out, over the last couple of weeks, what your reaction has been to it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it sparked such a war because it really does get at like a foundational question of how you see the world. And the campaign kind of glossed over some of these differences. But I think you and I and Sagar and Ryan have been talking about some of the very clear ideological differences, especially between Elon Musk, David Sachs, Vivek Ramaswamy, the sort of new tech bro coalition, and the Trumpist view of the world as it's been presented to the electorate. Now, I'm careful about how I say that because obviously Donald Trump has just sided with the globalists here. So what is Trumpism is always a little bit up for debate. But effectively, the Trump narrative of the world is that you are struggling and you are getting screwed because of immigrants and quote unquote cultural elites, basically trans people, gender ideology, like things coming out of Hollywood that you don't like and you don't think are the right values or direction for your family. But immigrants are a big, big part of that story of why Trump is telling you that you're struggling and you're screwed. That is a break from the traditional Republican message of if you're struggling, it's because you, or in this instance, your culture is failing, flawed in some way. So pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get it together. And effectively what you have in this proxy war over the H1B visas is a clash between these two worldviews. Trump is, like I said, his ideology can be sort of hard to pin down at times because the truth of the matter is when he governed last time, he basically governed as like a Paul Ryan Republican with some exceptions, tariff policy certainly being an exception there. But his biggest accomplishment is this giant tax cut for the rich, very traditional, standard Heritage Foundation type of Republican policy.
A literal Paul Ryan tax plan.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually literally crafted by Paul Ryan. However, in having this different narrative and story that he's selling, that was a break from the way that Republicans had traditionally talked about economic issues. Elon is much more actually ideological. He's a fan of Javier Milei. He has been talking about how he wants to slash $2 trillion from the budget. He believes that there needs to be this level of quote unquote pain among the public. Obviously, cutting $2 trillion from the budget is going to necessitate significant cuts to Social Security and Medicare programs that Trump has always pledged that he wouldn't touch. He also went out and, was praising Javier Milei for rolling back tariffs. Trump always obviously is in love with tariffs and has embraced tariffs more than ever before, at least in terms of his rhetoric. So, ideologically, there's always been this huge divide between Musk and his pretty clear, like kind of anarcho-capitalist ideology and the way that Trumpism has been sold to the MAGA base. So that's where this really comes to a head, because what Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and all of them are saying is effectively like, yeah, we've got a problem with illegal immigrants, but actually we love legal immigrants. We want more immigrants in the country. And specifically for Elon Musk, he wants more workers that he can pay lower wages and that who are completely beholden to him. Because that's, as a lefty who does, want more immigration in this country, I think we should have more legal immigrants. I believe that it's good for everyone and certainly good for those immigrants themselves. I have issues with the H1B program because it is so exploitative of those workers, and it is damaging to the American tech workers as well. Because if you look at the numbers, people who are brought in, these quote unquote high skilled workers who are brought in on H1B visas, number one, they're paid less. And number two, if you don't play ball with your employer and they fire you, you get deported. So I agree with the Ann Coulters and the Steve Bannons of the world when they say this is effectively a program of indentured servitude. But, as the world's richest man and a huge capitalist who also, by the way, gets massive government subsidies and all of those goodies.
Well, H1B kind of is a government subsidy.
That's 100% true. That is 100% true. He is looking out for his own capitalist interest. And this is a huge issue among the tech, not just the tech right, just among the tech sector, tech capitalists, period, which is why when Trump went on the All In podcast, which is like the tech bro podcast, back several months ago during the campaign, Saagar took immediate note of the fact that Trump offered up in that interview, hey, I think if you graduate from any college in this country, you should have a green card stapled to your degree. That was clearly something he was, knew he needed to give to that community in order to take in the hundreds of millions of dollars and the political support that he ultimately got from them. So, he chose his side quite a while ago. So it doesn't surprise me here that in the end, he decides to side with Elon Musk because, look, that $250 million plus that Elon threw into the campaign, like that wasn't for free. This is a key issue for him. He's going to get what he wants because he effectively bought his way into this government.
Well, what's funny is what you said earlier about this also being a key issue for Donald Trump. The rhetoric that Donald Trump used repeatedly in his 2016 campaign and his 2020 campaign throughout his presidency and since about immigration has actually captured a sentiment that is not false. It's not rooted in some false narrative. It is absolutely true. I mean, that you can look at all of the Cato Institute studies, et cetera, but you could also listen to people like Orrin Cass who make the point, or Bernie Sanders circa like 1999, who make the point plain as day that when you are creating so much unfair competition for American workers, meaning people who can be paid less, you're going to naturally depress the wages. Now, whether or not that is made up in different sectors of the economy is a different question. But when you are bringing H1B visa people into the country to do sort of mid-range coding, whatever it is, Elon Musk has been tweeting again sort of relentlessly about how this is not work that Americans want to do. It's sort of the work that allows us to attract foreign labor like a magnet. It's great for tech, and then these people sort of stay and bring their talents into the United States. And obviously there's room for some of that, but it is also disincentivizing the creation of, or it's disincentivizing Americans from going into the middle of those ladders too. And what really, the middle, I'm talking about like the ladder of career work. Now let's put this, I'm about to share this Laura Loomer tweet since we mentioned her because she was sort of instrumental in making this a viral debate because, not surprisingly, it's got very personal right away. Obviously, we mentioned Shriram Krishnan, who was appointed as the senior policy advisor for artificial intelligence at the White House. And I think in an AI position, it's natural that you'd have some oversight actually over the administration's policies on things like H1B. So Loomer tweets, deeply disturbing to see his appointment as senior policy advisor. It's alarming to see the number of career leftists who are now being appointed to serve in Trump's admin when they share views that are in direct opposition to Trump's America First agenda. So that just absolutely kicks it off because she's quoting Krishnan saying anything to remove country caps for green cards / unlocked skilled immigration would be huge in response to an Elon Musk tweet about Doge. So then I am now going to share Vivek Ramaswamy, who, I mean,
this is where things really get interesting.
This is the gasoline on the fire. Yeah. So it's already a significant sort of internecine battle in MAGA world. But then Vivek Ramaswamy comes in with this very interesting and very long post on X. If you're watching this, you can see that I'm just scrolling through it. I would estimate off the top of my head, it's like 250 words. This is the day after Christmas. Laura Loomer was like going after Ro Khanna, whatever, like literally on Christmas, which we'll talk about. But the key part of this Vivek Ramaswamy tweet is where he says, it's all goes back to the quote, C word. Crystal, did you see that? He said that a key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. So this is that C word. I don't know what you were thinking of, Crystal, but he says tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the capital T truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long. He then goes on to say a culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell. yeah,